Do you remember your first Monday morning after you retired? Not the retirement party. Not the last day. The first Monday. The alarm didn't go off. The house was quiet. The calendar was empty. And somewhere in that silence, maybe it was the first hour, maybe it was the first week, a question surfaced that nobody warned you about. What do I do now? If you felt that, if you felt the disorientation, the restlessness, the quiet sense that something important went missing, this video is for you. Because what you experienced has a name. It has a cause. And most importantly, it has a path through it. My name is Bill Bergfeld, and this is part of the Rebirth of Retirement series. Stay with me. Here is the first thing I need you to hear. What you are experiencing is not weakness. It is not ingratitude. It is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is the predictable, inevitable result of something that happened to virtually every high-achieving professional who has ever walked away from a career. Let me explain what I mean. For most of your adult life, 20, 30, maybe 40 years, your career was doing something for you that went far beyond paying the bills. It was answering one of the deepest questions a human being can ask. Who am I? Every morning when you got up and went to work, you had an answer to that question. You had a title. You had a role. You had a team that needed you, problems that required your expertise, and a daily rhythm that organized your entire existence around a sense of contribution and competence. And then, one day, it ended. The research from the American Psychological Association confirms what many retirees feel but can't quite name. The loss of a professional role is one of the most psychologically disruptive transitions an adult can experience. Not because retirement is bad, but because for most driven, high-achieving people, the professional self and the personal self have become deeply fused over decades of work. Psychologists call this identity fusion, and when that fusion is suddenly severed, even voluntarily, even joyfully, the psychological impact is real, significant, and often completely unexpected. So if you've been quietly struggling, if retirement hasn't felt like the freedom you were promised, I want you to know, you are not alone, and you are not broken. You are experiencing something that has a name, a cause, and a solution. Now let me share 5 facts about what your career was actually doing for you, because understanding this is the foundation of everything else. Fact number 1. Social connection and belonging. The workplace gave you a built-in community. Colleagues, teams, clients, professional networks. These relationships, even the imperfect ones, met the fundamental human need for belonging and daily social contact. When the career ends, that community often disappears almost overnight. Fact number 2. Status and social identity. Your title and your organization gave you a clear social position. They answered the question, who are you? In a way that commanded respect and recognition. Without them, that question can feel suddenly unanswerable. Fact number 3. Purpose and contribution. This one is the deepest for most people I work with. Your work gave you a reason to matter. Problems needed your expertise. People depended on your judgment. Your presence made a difference. And that sense of contribution, that feeling of being genuinely needed, is one of the deepest sources of human meaning. Fact number 4. Achievement and competence. Every completed project, every promotion, every solved problem delivered a neurological reward, the satisfaction of competence. This steady stream of achievement kept your sense of capability alive and active. In retirement, that stream can go quiet, and the silence is louder than most people expect. Fact number 5. Personal identity and narrative. Perhaps most powerfully, your career gave you a story about who you are. I am a doctor. I am an engineer. I am a teacher. These were not just job descriptions. They were the organizing narrative of your entire adult life. Now, and I want you to really sit with this question, which of these 5 needs feels most absent for you right now? Because that answer is the beginning of your personal identity blueprint. And that's exactly what we're going to build. I want to share something with you that I believe is the single most important insight in everything I teach. You were never your title. You were always the person behind it. Your title was a container, a useful, socially recognized vessel that held a portion of your energy, your skills, and your time. But the contents of that container, your wisdom, your character, your capacity for leadership and creativity and love, those belong entirely to you. They did not retire. They cannot retire. They are waiting, right now, for a new and more intentional container to hold them. The ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, "You cannot step into the same river twice, because the river is always changing, and so are you." Identity has never been a fixed destination. It has always been a living process. The version of you that showed up to work every day for 30 years was one magnificent expression of who you are. But it was never the whole story. It was one chapter. And here is what I want you to hear most clearly today. Retirement is not the end of your identity. It is the invitation, perhaps the first genuine invitation of your adult life, to author the most intentional version of it you have ever lived. For the first time, you are not building an identity around the demands of an employer, a career ladder, or a job description. You are free, genuinely free, to build an identity around your deepest values, your most meaningful relationships, and the contribution you most want to make to the world. That is not a loss. That is a rebirth. So what do you actually do about this? That's the question I've spent years answering. And the answer is what I call the identity blueprint. The identity blueprint is a 5-part framework for rebuilding your sense of self after retirement, not by recreating your career, but by designing something far more intentional and deeply satisfying. Here's how it works. Module 1 is where we are right now, understanding what happened and why. Awareness is always the first step. You cannot navigate a transition you haven't named. Module 2 is what I call the architecture of you. Before you can design a new identity, you need to conduct a thorough inventory of the raw materials you already possess, your values, your strengths, your passions, and the experiences that shaped you. Most people are astonished by what they find when they actually look. You are richer, more capable, and more interesting than your career ever had room to express. Module 3 is the work most people skip, and the work that makes everything else possible. It's the grief work, the letting go, the conscious, intentional release of the old identity so that a new one has room to take root. You cannot build something new on a foundation you haven't cleared. Module 4 is where we build. For pillars of a new identity: purpose, contribution, connection, and creativity. Each one is grounded in your values and your strengths. Each one is designed to meet the 5 psychological needs we talked about earlier, in ways that are often more fulfilling than your career ever was. Module 5 is where it all comes together: your complete identity blueprint and the rebirth declaration. A spoken, written commitment to who you are and how you intend to live the rest of your life. This is not a quick fix. It is not a motivational speech. It is a structured, evidence-based process for one of the most important transitions of your adult life. And it works because it starts with the truth of who you actually are, not who your career told you to be. If what I've shared today resonates with you, if you recognize yourself in the identity fusion, in the 5 needs, in the quiet struggle of a Monday morning that felt like an ending, I want to invite you to take the next step. The Identity Blueprint course is available right now at rebirthofretirement.com. It's a self-paced, 5-module course designed specifically for high-achieving professionals navigating this transition. Every lesson comes with a student guide, a reflection exercise, and the kind of honest, grounded coaching that this transition actually requires. And if you're not ready for the full course yet, that's completely fine. Start by downloading our free guide, Beyond the Title, also available at rebirthofretirement.com. It's a 5-chapter introduction to the Identity Blueprint framework, and it's free. Before you go, I want to leave you with this. The Monday morning that felt like an ending? It wasn't. It was the first morning of the most intentional chapter of your life. You just needed someone to tell you that. I'll see you in the next video.